a small town, lost among the deep forests, there lived a girl named Olivia. She was a lonely child because her parents died when she was only 5 years old. Olivia lived with her grandmother, who loved her incredibly, but was very old and sick. One day, when Olivia returned from school, she found the house empty. Grandmother was not there, and there was deafening silence in the house. Olivia called her, searched every room, but all she saw was an empty house filled with loneliness. Starting to panic, Olivia ran out of the house and ran down the road, trying to find someone who could help her. Soon she heard footsteps, followed by a quiet whisper, and she saw a shadow chasing her. She quickened her steps, but the shadow grew closer and closer. She soon realized that the shadow took the form of a man, and this man was familiar to her. It was her grandmother. With a wild cry, Olivia stopped, turned around, and saw her grandmother's face, distorted with horror. The grandmother whispered something unintelligible, extended her hands to Olivia, and she desperately tried to run away. At that moment she woke up, her heart beating wildly, lying in her bed. It was all a nightmare. But when Olivia ran to her grandmother's room to make sure everything was okay, she discovered that her grandmother was not breathing. This dream became a prophetic omen. Olivia was left alone, and terrible nightmares became part of her reality. In a small town, lost among the mountains, there lived a girl named Anna. Her family was famous in the area, not because of wealth or influential connections, but because of the terrible secret they kept. Legend said that there was a curse in their family. Each generation was born with a gift of foresight, but this gift turned into a curse when the children reached a certain age. They began to see shadows and hear whisper that would ultimately spell death for them. Anna did not believe these stories until one night, waking up from a strange rustling sound, she saw a silhouette standing by her bed. Frightened, she closed her eyes, but the shadow did not disappear. The whisper grew louder, penetrating her mind like an ominous melody. From that moment on, Anna felt that something was following her everywhere. The days became a nightmare, and the nights were filled with nightmares. She tried to tell her family, but everyone brushed it off, saying it was just her imagination. However, when strange deaths began to occur in the city, Anna realized that her family had failed to protect her from the curse. She realized that the shadow that was pursuing her wanted her dead. Fear paralyzed her, but she decided to fight, and the moment the shadow appeared in front of her again, Anna came out against it with all the power of her mind. She closed her eyes and screamed, driving away the darkness. Since then, the shadow has not appeared again, and the town froze in anticipation of its next victim. Anna realized that she had become part of her family's curse, and now it was her destiny to protect her descendants from the same darkness that haunted her. In the desolate town of Raven's Peak, there was an old, abandoned mansion known as the House of Whispers. Locals spoke of a curse that plagued the mansion, whispering tales of tragic deaths and restless spirits that roamed its decaying halls. One stormy night, a lone traveler named Alex sought refuge in the mansion, unaware of the horrors that awaited within. As Alex stepped through the creaking doors, a chill ran down their spine, and a sense of dread settled in the air. The walls of the mansion seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy, and the shadows danced in macabre patterns as if alive. Ignoring the warning signs, Alex pressed further into the darkness, determined to unravel the mysteries of the House of Whispers. As the storm raged outside, strange occurrences began to unfold within the mansion. Whispers filled the empty corridors, and ghostly apparitions flickered in and out of sight. Alex's heart raced with fear, but a morbid curiosity drove them deeper into the heart of the haunted mansion. In a forgotten attic room, Alex discovered a collection of old journals that detailed the tragic history of the House of Whispers. The mansion had once been home to a reclusive family tormented by dark secrets and forbidden rituals. Their spirits, bound by tragedy and anger, still lingered within the walls, seeking vengeance on any who dared disturb their eternal slumber. As the night wore on, the spirits of the mansion grew restless, their spectral forms manifesting in shadowy figures that haunted Alex's every step. Whispers of sorrow and despair filled the air, echoing through the empty rooms like a mournful dirge. In a moment of terror, Alex found themselves face to face with the vengeful spirits of the mansion's former inhabitants. Their eyes glowed with a sinister light, and their spectral forms exuded a palpable aura of malice. The spirits wailed in anguish, their tormented cries echoing through the mansion like a chorus of the damned. With nowhere left to run, Alex stood their ground, facing the wrath of the vengeful spirits with a courage born of desperation. In a final act of defiance, they spoke words of empathy and understanding, offering peace to the tormented souls that dwelled within the House of Whispers. As the first light of dawn broke over Raven's Peak, the mansion stood silent and still, its curse lifted by Alex's act of compassion. The spirits of the House of Whispers found solace in Alex's words, their anguished cries fading into the ether as they finally found rest. Alex emerged from the mansion, their spirit forever changed by the harrowing ordeal. The legend of the House of Whispers would live on in whispers and warnings, a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurked in the forgotten corners of Raven's Peak. And Alex, forever marked by their encounter with the vengeful spirits, would carry the memory of that fateful night as a testament to the power of empathy and redemption in the face of supernatural terror. In a dark and secluded forest, where even rustling leaves seemed to be a mysterious whisper, there lived an ancient legend about the maudlin clown. It is said that he wanders through the forest in search of his next victims, frightening them with his dark appearance and sinister laugh. One day, a group of friends decided to go into this forest in hopes of allaying their fears and enjoying the night outdoors. But as the darkness deepened, they began to hear strange sounds in the nearby trees. At first, it was just rustling noises, but then steps began to appear. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the darkness, dressed in tattered clown clothes, his face covered by a mask, with a terrifying smile in face. It was the weepy clown. He began to slowly approach the group, emitting a vile laugh that made the hearts of his friends freeze in horror. They tried to run away, but the weepy clown was faster. He pursued them through the maze of trees, waiting for them around every turn. They ended up trapped, surrounded on each side by the weepy clown. This was the end for them. The whisper of the wind revolved with the ominous laughter of the weeping clown. Their screams faded into the night, and the forest followed their terrible story, adding just one more word to its dark legend. A family lived in a dark and secluded house on the outskirts of the city. They heard strange sounds, rustling and knocking at night, but never paid attention to it, believing that it was just the creaking of the house or the noise of neighbors. However, one day when the family returned home after a short trip, they discovered that the entire house had been turned upside down. when the officers arrived on the scene, they discovered that there was actually a psychopath hiding in the house who was watching the family and waiting for the right moment to attack them. He entered the house after they left